So welcome everyone to this episode of my Create tutorial series. So in this episode we will be running through Cobblestone generation. Now within Create Mod, aside from the regular TNT method in normal vanilla Minecraft, there are two ways of mining blocks within the game. There are other ways to break blocks with other specific types, but the mechanical saw only works on wood, mechanical harvester and plow only work on non-solid blocks, and the mechanical roller only works on solid blocks, thereby making a cobblestone generator using a roller impossible, as I have demonstrated here. It does not just mine blocks, it will, unless... Maybe I can fix this. Yeah, I think I know how to fix that. We'll come back. I'll cut and bring you back when I figured out how that actually works. I believe you can actually do that. But basically, we're going to run through the first two here first. So there are two main ways to mine blocks in the game. There is a mining mechanical drill, which by default runs and breaks any block. Depending on how fast it goes, it will mine faster. And depending on how you want to collect it underneath with belts or some other, like using the Ender upgrade with the sophisticated backpacks, or using some other vacuum pump, item pump from another mod like Ender IO, will work with this one. Be aware that this one does have some issues with lava, the cobble going into the lava, but not much, and it is not completely lossless, but it is an infinite source as long as you have power to it, which can be done with water wheels, thereby making it completely renewable and infinite. If you want to avoid any item spillage like this, just going out from the farm, you can turn it into a contraption similar to that, using a minecart or a mechanical piston, and it will work. You put it into an inventory and then deposit that out through a remote item drop-off point. This one works in a similar way, except it requires tools. It requires a deployer, which in itself is more expensive than a drill, but it requires tools to operate, and it also requires pumping out of it directly. It does not drop. It is lossless in terms of losing to the lava, but it does require tools pumped in, and bottle of enchanting. This stuff does not work on mending tools, so at least not held in a deployer's hand. So you will require, you need to have multiple tools or some sort of auto crafting setup to put in whatever tools you want to use if you're going for this method. This method works for a variety of other things, including mob farms, which you can use the tool or weapon that you put in its hand to kill things, and all of that fun stuff. So this would work in that application as well, but be aware that you do need to input tools of some kind into this block. So, and then the last option, I will show you guys when I have finalized it in a second after the cut. After realizing what I need, I figured out how to make it work, and in order to have this break blocks, the blocks need to be in front, not below it. Basically what I did is lowered it down one, which as it was up one before, and have it basically run across this and mine. I set it up to basically replace whatever's underneath, depending on what you have, stone blocks. I use dirt because that's what's here. I put dirt in the second slot, basically to replace any blocks beneath it with dirt. After it breaks the blocks and it moves forward on the minecart, and it basically repeats. You got to remember to lock the rotation in the cart assembler so that it doesn't go wild, and this is totally stackable, could be made smaller or whatever, and it does produce a bunch, and it does not use up any. You just need to have the filler item in the inventory, I believe, for it to do the work that it needs to do when it is doing that. And if you're doing it over grass, you might want to prevent, it'll probably just solve itself, and it seems to be relatively fast in terms of that, but be aware that it only works in one direction and it can break, and it is not exactly cheap, but it is not exactly not cheap, because you could have basically one powered rail on each end, and a bunch of normal rails, though I would not recommend it because it reduces the speed of the total minecart assembly. Minecart contraption, if that makes sense. So that is basically the minimum you could do, though it is not necessarily the minimum that you should do if you want a lot of cobblestone, and it does require, let's see, what's it called? It is called a mobile, a portable storage interface placed on here, probably in this slot, so that you can drop off items at one end or the other of your however big cobblestone generator. Be aware that this does take up a lot more space than either of these, and does require a lot more resources than this. So in terms of usefulness, I would put this one as top tier, this one as second tier, and this one as third tier, as this one requires a significant amount of player input, or at least some form of tool crafting to input. This one requires a specialized output to prevent loss with belts or some other resource, and this one requires a lot more blocks in terms of things to work with. And that is basically the automatic disposal of cobble, aside from, of course, we have the TNT method, which does work, and there may be some other ways with mobs in other mods, but this is everything that you can do in the basic create mod with cobblestone generating. So, excuse that. We are going to end off this episode here. Next episode, we will be going over gravel and how to produce it and how to produce it infinitely for your builds and what it can do for you. So, stay tuned for that episode. Bye.